Hey guys, Brandon here. We're going to talk about conscious defense today and how we can use our mental space in order to protect ourselves and our field from negative energies or unwanted energies. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that there is a difference between energy fields, and when these two energy fields come in contact with each other, they overlap, then there's that shared space in between. And the shared space is mutual space, and the dominating energy controls that mutual space. So there's some things that we can do to override that mutual space passively, is by having higher standards and higher rules or boundaries within ourselves. It's good to have strong boundaries, and then when you have strong boundaries, in order for this space to even overlap, this has to pass through the boundaries. And so if you have a strong boundary, then this won't overlap. It'll just like come in contact with. So one of the things that we can do to have strong boundaries is sit within ourselves, meditate, and go over yourself and see where your own expectations are for yourself, your own expectations are for others. What do you consider to be like within the realm of acceptability, and meet that standard on your physical self when you walk through your existence. As you see people in your interactions with them, they're going to either meet your standards of interactions or they're not. And if they're not, you need to address that and then approach that with an appropriate counterbalance of saying, hey, you're not meeting my standards. In order for you to continue to engage and react with me, then I need you to like come up here. And then by doing that, it might hurt that person's feelings. They might be taken aback. They might be considered rude. But by doing that, you're establishing the boundary. And they need that to be established. Otherwise, it's mutual space. And they're all over in your space. So kicking them out hurts their feelings, but it builds that boundary of respect. Okay, so this is what I need to be in your space. Okay, well, if I want to be in your space, I'm going to go back and I'm going to provide that. So then I'm going to fix myself, or I'm going to right myself in order to be in your space. It's not about changing somebody else. It's about establishing your boundary space, and then other people have to mold to fit within your rules. Other things we can do within our space is create like a spell. We can put enchantments on our energy fields and like within our space fields. And these types of enchantments, what they do is when energy comes in contact with it, it runs into a ward, and then the ward says, hey, what is your orientation? And then it says, hey, I'm here to like siphon off some negativity. I'm just a little thirsty, need this human to think some bad thoughts. So get the fuck out of my way. And then the ward's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to come through. And so then the energy has to like flare and push through the ward, which causes this to lose energy. So in order for this energy to get pushed through the ward, it has to give more energy than your ward was given to establish it. And then that can cost him. It's like, okay, well, if you want to get through me, it's going to be a price, and you're going to have to like come through me. By going through that energy, it's going to raise up in vibration already, so it's going to be less impactful when it gets all through the ward and then reaches boundaries and other barriers. And then there's also like the mental self too, because not only do you have a physical interaction with a being, you also have a mental interaction with a being. So having good boundaries on all of yourself and high expectations, that goes with inside of yourself. That's not allowing your emotions to become disabled and negative and like manifesting negative outcomes. That's not allowing your thoughts to be disabled and negative and manifesting negative outcomes. And in your physical stuff, not allowing your physical actions to become disabled and manifesting negative outcomes. This is all self-discipline on all three levels. So there's some things we can do to like enhance that, but at the end of the day, it is all self-discipline. As you get into your light and into your space, you're going to start to see that it's entirely dependent upon you as the caretaker of your space. The wards and stuff are just assistant tools. The guardians are assistant tools. The barriers and boundaries are assistant tools. They're only as strong as you are, and they only have as much power as you give them. And so it still comes down to you at the core and how much you give and put into it, and how conscious and mindful you are about maintaining that. If your no means yes sometimes, then it's not really a no. It's not really a rule, it's a guideline. And guidelines are a lot easier to break through than rules. Rules are hard no's. So it's important to establish rules and establish these boundaries within you. there's a lot of different types of energy. There's a lot of different types of engagements and interactions that happen every day. As you learn about them, you can establish preferences. Hey, I just had a bad interaction. It's not something that I enjoy, so these types of beings who want to put me down and like make fun of me are no longer allowed to interact with me. That's a hard no rule. And if somebody comes in your space and they say, hey, your hair, it looks ugly, then you're gonna say, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to fuck in my space. Get the fuck out. And then push that energy out. And it could be meaningful to the energy or hurtful, but it's a hard no. You're not allowed in my space if you're gonna be mean to me. Like you're out. You're not energy I want to entertain or interact with or even have coming back around. So if it's direct and it's hard and it's pushing you away, good, because I don't want you back. If you're gonna take away from me and you're gonna put me down and you're gonna hurt me, then like don't come back. And then that energy leaves, because that's a hard no. That's your boundary. If the energy comes in and it wants to give to you and help you and uplift you and like provide for you, then like allow that through and be like, yeah, come on in, like love me, like come on, I love me. And then allow that, set that as a parameter. Hey, energies that are uplifting or euphoric or bettering, bring that in, because there's both sides of the spectrum. So as you come across like positive interactions and they're like, hey, I like your hair, and then you're like, my hair? I didn't do anything with my hair. Why do you like my hair? They're just giving you a compliment and you're like not able to receive it very well. Set those boundaries up a little bit different and manifest them a little bit different and be like, hey, any nice comments, bring those in. I like nice comments. Bring those right to source. Bring those right to me. Feed me those niceties, and then feed back niceties. Because like, oh, you like my hair? I didn't really do anything but put this little bandana in it. And nice. I appreciate it. Thanks. Makes you feel good even like embracing the comment and running with it, because they're wanting to make you feel good. So allowing yourself to feel good and embracing that makes them feel good as well. And then everybody feels good and they're creating positive all the way around. So we're going to move into a barrier form that we can use consciously. It's just going to go around your field. There's nothing you're going to have to do with it constantly. The more you think about it and the more you infuse your energy into it, you can reiterate the spell. You can keep doing it as many times as you want. The more times you do it, the stronger it's going to become. Saying it with a strong tone is imperative. Saying something with a weak state and a weak form is going to create a weaker outcome. Your energy is going to become buffeted by a higher dominant energy. You can have all the energy in the world because like this is your octave, and then you're peaked out here. And so yeah, you're putting all your energy into it, but there's another octave up and this guy's dominant. And so yeah, like this is the best your energy's doing, and he's just going to come through and like wash through it. So it's important that you put forward your most dominant self, your most like aggressive self, and your most firm self, and work to keep growing. You're not done growing, like you're continuing growing. So and as you grow, go and reestablish those boundaries and reinforce them. You're going to start to see like as you grow that they were weaker behind you. They were like outdated or archaic beliefs that you had before that worked for the time, but they're no longer working now. We've outgrown those, so we're going to be moving forward. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is, it's called a light shield. And so it's pretty simple. It's just, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to imagine within ourselves, our heart centers right here. Right, take your two hands, put them tips to thumb, all tips to your thumb, and connect the tips together, all the tips appropriately to their individual selves. And then you're going to put it right here in your heart space. I think there's an indent in your chest right here. Put it right here in your heart space. And then there's an incantation, and I'll say it slow, and you can repeat it after me. I create this reflective light shield to allow all thought forms and beings that follow the one universal law, a will to do good, while sending back all negative thought forms and beings so they may learn their own lessons and experience their own awakening. Blessings be. And then like with your mind closed, you're going to see as you separate your hands, it's like pulling that light, it's stretching it up, and so it's going to come up like a bubble, and you're going to imagine it going out through your whole field. and it's entirely imagination, incantation, and energy. So say it over and over again. Be firm in your stance. No energies of negative intention. They're all going to be repelled back to themselves, so they can learn their own lessons and experience their own awakening. And that firm, blessings be. So then it's going to go out, and you're going to envision it going out. And you can do this as many times as you want. 5 times a day for 5 days is like 25 times. And that's like a lot still. And it's more than you have right now. And so it only takes like a few seconds to do it. You can rewind the video and replay it a few times. Just close your eyes and then reiterate with the cantation. And see the space going out. See your bubble. Imagine your bubble getting stronger every time. See the space getting more dense every time. At first it's like a bubble, but make the bubble like actual like solid gold. And the more you can intensify that energy, then the more it's gonna be impactful on your defensive field. Because then they're gonna run into it and they're gonna be like, hey, are you good or bad? And you're like, bitch, I'm fucking bad, man. Get me in here. And then they're like, I'm sorry, you can't come in. And you're like, don't talk to me like that. So then the energy is going to be grumpy and be like, what'd you say to me? I can't get in here? So then it's going to be like flary. And it's going to fight through that energy before it has to break through all of that. And then once it breaks through, then it's in, and then it can influence you. Up until that point, you were going to feel very little without other established warnings in place. And we'll get to those. But it's not going to be within your field because this bubble's right on the outside. Your field ends and your bubble starts. And it's really thinner than that, but it's your bubble's on the outside of your field. All of your field is protected all the way. And so it's going to take a lot of energy for it to get through that. And with you consistently bolstering that energy, there's a couple other rules. We can look at my videos like the law of right. By doing it over and over and over again, it doubles in power from all of the previous times all the way. So it builds up really fast. 5 is like a crazy lot. 25 is a huge amount. Doing it 30 times is going to be like colossal in your defensive self. But you have to be firm in yourself, and you have to believe all of what you're doing. There's no reservations. If you have reservations, if you have doubts, all of these create fissures. All of these create cracks. Because what happens is negativity comes in and it's like, boom, hey, are you good or are you bad? It's like, I'm bad. I'm coming in. And then they're like, you can't come in here. Bad people aren't allowed. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you let that guy in? And they're like, what? And then now you're distracted. Boom, they're in. Because they allowed that. Misconception, distraction, boom, you're in. And they're very, energy is very tricky. It's very conscious, intelligent. It can see your field just as much as it can see everything else. And so when it looks at your field and it's like peering at you, okay, I see that you're a little bit uncertain about that. So now it analyzed all of you, and it sees that, yeah, you did this, but you are reserved. You don't think it's going to work. So the more I push on it, the less it's going to work, because you doubt it. So because you don't have a firm space, I'm able to be firmer than you and push my way through. By you having a strong space, I'm going to show them like, hey, that guy did. No, he didn't. Get the fuck out. Because your other cells aren't distracted by nonsense. They know what they're doing, and there's no distraction points. So absolutely being firm is like so critical on this. And then, so now we have a barrier. We have a very light barrier, right? It's reflective. It helps send it back to them because we don't want to hurt people, but we don't want their stuff either. We just want you to learn your own lessons so you can outgrow yourself. It's about you outgrowing yourself. I can't come and do anything for you, but I don't want you to hurt me either. So now we got this light barrier. It's very simple. Now we're going through our day-to-day interactions, and it's still not effective enough. We still need more because we have to build on it. And another thing we can do is create an intention guardian. And an intention guardian is very simple. It's something that you create in your mind, like a thought, and then you imbue it with an intention. And then it sets out on that very simple, very basic program. And it's as simple as, okay, let me restart. Any being that enters my space must first present themselves to my awareness. Any being that enters my space must first present themselves to my awareness. Any being that enters my space must first present themselves to my awareness. What this does is it creates an intention field around all of your space. So anything that comes in must first present themselves to you. So your awareness can be first brought up to, hey, Brandon, I'm here, and I'm a something, and this is what I am. So if it gets through your other fields, and it comes into your space, then your awareness is like, hey, this guy's lying. Lying energy is coming through. And so that awareness, lying energy, you didn't allow yourself to be deceived from it because it'll just flow around your space. Lying energy is front and center. I feel lying energy. Are you lying? You're lying. And then you can address it directly. You don't allow it to continue forward. It's a very direct approach. This is what it is. It's lying energy. You're lying. And then you move forward with it. Call it out, address it, and work through it. So you have a very simple light shield. You got a basic intention that sets out and says, hey, if anybody in here is new, go report to the king, go report to the queen. They need you. They need your attention first. You can only be in here if they say so. So then that energy is like looming around, and it's flowing around your space. And the stronger you put more energy into it, the more stronger it becomes. It becomes like hazy or cloudy or foggy. It becomes more and more dense. So that way it permeates all energies within your space. There's no places to hide. Your shadow can't hide beneath your feet because it's so dense, it's coming through all of your energy. So you have this intention, people have to report to you. You have the barriers. If anybody comes through the barriers, they're going to have to report to you. Good guys have to report, bad guys have to report. There's no discerning because even good people have their own intention. And yeah, they want to help you do positive, but they still want to make it and gain out of it. So you need to make sure the people in your space only have your best interests the whole way. And you also need to know what they get out of it, because if you don't know what they get, then you don't know what's in it for them, and you don't know what you're going to be doing or losing or giving in exchange for whatever they have to help. Maybe the help's not worth the exchange rate, and that's something that you should be aware of, that like in order for this person to help you, yeah, they want to help you and they want to be a part of your team, but they also want you to devote like life services to them. They also want to like siphon off energy for resources off, and they need that. And so maybe that's not fair for you, because you can do whatever they're doing without their energy, without losing that energy, because the energy loss is going to take to like pay that debt isn't worth the energy it's going to take to do that yourself. So it's important when communicating with all of the selves within you that you understand what each person wants, what each self wants, what each energy wants, and make sure it all aligns with your rules. Rules first. Hard no. And it should be like polarity first rule. Like, are you a good person or are you a bad person? Let's establish black and white. Okay, I'm a good person. Great. So like, then only good things should be manifesting. Only good things should be manifesting. So only good rules. Any rules that establish negativity should be like, it's like removed out of your space. You should make it rules that I only do good actions. I only say nice things. I only project like the most positive energy. Hard rules to make yourselves align with what you are. You're either this or you're that. Like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a helping and caring person, or do you want to be taking away and self-full? And whoever you are, it's you to discern that and to discover that. That's a path of self-discovery. There's no like better or worse way. There's like ideal situations, but it's the path of self-discovery. A lot of people have to go through discovering self, and discovering like hurting others doesn't give them and feed them. And then when you learn like you helping others, that starts to feed you. You start to learn from that. So that's up to you and like your path and journey. Establish that first. Who do you want to be? What are you at the end of the day? Polarize yourself. Pick that direction and then aim everything in that direction. Start by like, okay, well, being a good person, there's no lying in my field. So none of my selves are allowed to lie. So then you look at all of your selves, look at all of your field, and you set up a no lying rule. Absolutely no, hard no lying. And then you look at all of yourselves and you decide that like nutrition is important to you. So you establish a nutrition field and like all of my selves need to stop eating bad food and start to like align themselves with a positive nutrition diet. These are rules that permeate all of you, and everything in the space needs to follow these rules, and it's set by you and directed by you, and only is created by as you are. And so you can take your time and sit down in a meditation and do it, or you can like wait and listen for somebody else to give you inspiration and rules to make within your field. But either way, like you have to like make the rules in order for they to exist. If you don't have any rules or guidelines, you don't have any standards, and then anybody can come in, they can step all over your standards, and then move on with themselves and take whatever they want. That's how it goes. By having these standards and these rules and these expectations of behavior within your realm, people are gonna not come and take up from you. They're gonna only give from you. And so having like that awareness of anything new in my space, come to me. So then I can see you. I can see what's your orientation, even if it's people. I want to be able to see the person. I want to be able to like feel their energy and like make that contact. Even if like the individual doesn't come and talk to me, their spiritual self better come. Like that's a rule. Your spiritual self better come and announce their presence to me and tell me their orientation for their physical human to be in my space. I don't care. It's my space. And if you think of me, if you see me, if you feel me, any level of my energy within contact of your field, you're in my space and you're following my rules. So other things that we can do to enhance on that experience is create layers within yourself that energy has to traverse in order to get to you. If you have just a big open lot, open space, energy is going to be able to get through your barriers, and then it's just a big open land that they can just flow around in. But if that big open land is in your mind sitting on top of like a forest, then you have a core self, and your core self should be somewhere. You should hide your core self somewhere in your mind space. And like putting yourself, let's say like meditating on a stump in the forest, and the forest is magical, where as energy flows through the forest, the trees help cleanse and discern the energy and help like sift through all of the energy that comes to your meditation self. Then any energy that gets by your barriers on the outside have to work through barriers on the inside. And that's what we're creating, is layers of barriers on the inside, like onions. So we have the field, and we have outside layers and inside layers. And inside layers are going to be something like creating a fog over this field. And over that field is a dense layer of white fog. And it's pure white fog. It's so bright. And as you walk through this, as you come back to your physical self from your sleep, from your meditation, from whatever, it's an intention, you come through this field, this fog confuses energies within you. It confuses negativities. It distracts all things within you that are taking away from you. And so the deeper you go into the fog, as you're like walking, you're actually like losing aspects behind you, because they're like, oh, hey, where did he go? Where did he go? Because they're really physically attached to you. They're not inside of you. They're not a part of you. They're like holding on to you like, all right, let's go. Yeah, let's go wherever you're going. Wherever you're going. Yeah, we're following you. So when like the fog dissuades them, and then they're lost. And so they get lost as you get deeper in there. You go through the fog, right? You're going to break through another barrier. The fog's going to lead you to the forest. It's the fog that leads you to the forest. You just walk straight. You don't have to do anything. It's not super sciencey. Walk through a fog, and the fog will like manifest the path, do everything for you. Then you're into the forest, and now you're going through this enchanted forest. And the enchanted forest, the trees are alive and they're all empowered by you, and all of the trees like capture other negativity, and then they send it down through their roots, and they digest it in their roots in order so it can come back out as positive energy for plant life and things to grow up. And so as you're going through, the trees are looking and they're looming and they're seeing you, and then they're coming in and they're dissuading and picking out energies within you that got attached, that are stuck to you, that no longer serve your better interest, that they see is going to take away from you. You're not allowed to get through this far of the forest without meeting the trees, and the trees have specific rules. Negative people are not allowed. People who are here to hurt me are not allowed. Energy suckers are not allowed. So having these, at least these 3 things, as you go through the forest, the trees are going to be like, energy sucker, you're not allowed in there anymore, get out of here. Put him in his roots, send him down, and now he's going to become part of like the beautiful ground and be a part of that energy. And then when you get to the stump self, you got another layer. This self is like meditating, and so it's very peaceful, it's very relaxed. And as you approach that self, you're going to start to see that it's not really you. It looks like you, but it's not really you. And as you look closer, you're going to see that it's just a mirror. And you're looking in a mirror, and then you fall through this mirror, and now you're into another space. And that other space can be on a boat in the middle of an ocean of light. And the light just so bright, it illuminates everything. So your shadow selves have nowhere to hide but like right below your feet. Everything's so illuminated. The sun's out, illuminating everything. It really shrinks down and burns on all of that energy. And then as you go through the boat, maybe there's something in the cabin, a parchment or scroll or something that you read. And by reading the parchment, you start to read that it's a story of a ship on the ocean. And then you start to see this in your mind. And as you look up, you're no longer on the ship in the ocean. You're in a study, reading a scroll with a ship in a bottle ahead of you on a light ocean. And you just went through another layer. And in this layer, you're inside of a study. Maybe you're in a castle. Create a castle however you want. You can empower it with all the guards you want. And as you go through the castle's got its own unique maze. It's a castle. Make it as complex as you want to make it. The guards come in contact with you. Hey, how you doing, Brandon? Welcome back. We love you, bro. High five. These are positive beings allowed in your space. You welcome them in. Hey, dragon. Boom, Alfonso. Come over here, bro. Be my dragon pet. Help me keep everything positive. Keep all these guys out. Scorch them, man. Whatever you gotta do. All right, I'll help you, bro. And so, as you make friends, your friends want to be a part of your realm and a part of your space and a part of your experience. Call on them. Use your friends. Bring your deities in. Populate your spaces. Then you're going to work your way out of the castle. And as you get out of the castle, there's probably like a hedge maze there. And then you're going to go through a hedge maze, maybe like Harry Potter, where the maze is alive and it moves and stuff. And so, as you work through this maze, it does something similar to like everything else, and its own way. The maze comes alive, and it pushes on this negativity. It pulls it like away from you, like squeezes it out of your body. It gets lost in the maze. Whatever you want it to do, as creative as you like in the maze, maybe the energy just gets lost and can't make it through the maze. Because if you're not traveling, energy still has to come through your little maze and all of your little things to get to core self, to just like slurp with a straw. But by then, it's gone through light layers and fog and forests and boat with light on it, castle and guards, going through like the hedge maze. And then as you get to the center of the maze, you can have like something that you touch, and then that thing that you touch teleports you into your body, and you just like pop into it, and then you're back into yourself. And then as you set all of this up, even watching this video and imagining through the video, you set all of this up, and now it's there. And now as you go through with intention, you just say, when I come back to my body, this is the route I follow. Myself knows this path. Only my highest self knows this path. And so as you come through, you're doing this. And the stronger you set up those wards, the more times you do it, the stronger it becomes. In the beginning, things will get through. That's what happens. Don't be like frustrated over it. Don't think like the first time it's going to be perfect. Repetition is important. The law of right feeds repetition. Doing something 7 times is a habit. 14 times builds in a routine, and then by 21, it's kind of like an addiction. By the 21st time, it's a right. Not an addiction, I misspoke. It's a right. You are given a right. There is no maybes in rights. They're your entitlements. So by the 21st time, it's a right. It's your right that this energy exists, that this consciousness exists, that these are permanent. 21 consecutive times. Breaking the cycle breaks the loop, and it has to replay. It's like meditating. Every time you meditate, counting beads, you lose focus, start over. Counting beads, you lose focus, start over. Until you can count all your beads without losing focus. And by doing this, you're going to establish all of that within your field. You're going to grow in confidence because it's going to be pushed, it's going to be tested, and it has to be pushed, it has to be tested because you have allowed it all to come in this far, and you haven't had those erected barriers, so you've allowed all of this. So it's going to push on you, and you have to push back because it's in your space, and so you have to push it out. Get out of my space. You're not welcome in my space. Only positive energy is welcome in my space. Get out. And it has to be stern. It has to be firm. It has to be dominating. You have to overpower this energy, push it out of your space, make it known it's not welcome, and it's not allowed back. And in exchange, like, you can turn on the nice guy code. Be like, hey, everybody in my space, I love you guys. Oh, give me loves, give me hugs, kisses, mwah, mwah. Like, everybody within, give them all of the full nice self. Like, the other side that's turned around, give them all of that. And like, hey, welcome to my house. Welcome to my space. Man, you guys want some coffee? You guys want some drinks? What do you guys want? I want to be like good host. I want to serve you. Like, welcome. Nobody comes. Like, how are you? And by doing that, you're going to have the people who are not welcome are going to get met with that type of personality. You're not welcome. Your energy just doesn't fit here. It's not soothing. It's not vibrating. It's not positive. Go away. And the people who are, you're going to be like, put on that, hey, man, how are you doing, live brother? How you doing, live sister? Welcome to the space. Like, let's see what we can learn today. And you're going to be able to bring that positive to that positive and that strength to that negative. So, just a little recap. Things that we've done is, in the beginning, we created our little light barrier, or light shield, right? Our bubble. Reflects all negativity back to itself. So it's like, hey, you're shitty. And then that comes back to itself so it can learn. And then, because we shouldn't be saying mean things, we're not mean people, then you have your insider selves. We established some varying layers, right? Went through that process. We also established the rules. So you have your barrier self, then you have your rules, which is your field. As soon as it enters, like your bubble, as soon as it enters your bubble,